You're good.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, welcome everybody. How about we start with the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First I need a motion to update the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
A second.
We're just adding your report and we'll push Sean down, right? Okay.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right, go to the consent agenda next. Do a motion,
So moved.
do I have a second.
Second.
Anything that anyone wants to either discuss or pull for later discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any against? Okay, President, Vice President, the only thing I have to report is that I had a complete brain cramp and completely forgot about going to vote for that meeting. And I, never mind, I was gonna say something, get me in trouble. So I haven't gotten the minutes from that yet, don't really know what happened there, but my apologies. Also now, if you want to, go through this, the, proposed. Yeah,
Yes, so I had summarized it and would you like me to go through a very quick summary of each one, or just based on our previous positions, like what I picked out as to what we might not agree with and how the
did anybody, was there anything that anyone wanted to specifically discuss on this list?
there were just four that I picked out to get your votes or opinions.
Okay. All right. All right, so why don't we do that, and then, if anybody has, if there's anything else in that list that you, want to either oppose or support. Talk about it at the end.
Okay. So I don't know if you have it in front of you. So number 8, of the proposed resolutions for adoption are to, which NISBA recommends that we are in favor of, approving these resolutions, is to reduce lockdown drills from 4 annually to 2. And so if we are in agreement of that being our position as a district or not.
So they want.
And I can tell you like the reasoning if not.
Yeah.
Okay. So the, sorry, I'm just gonna pull it up on my end. And the reasoning is that over the lifetime of a student, they would be having like about 52 drills, and that there is no definitive research that having drills promotes safety and security. So that is the reasoning.
So do they have any evidence that they're not effective?
Not that is mentioned, it just mentions like it causes trauma and emotional drainage for the students to go through a lockdown drill, especially the younger children.
What about fire drill? Doesn't that cause emotional distress and possible?
I don't know how many fire drills we require.
12. Yeah, so there's more. So I don't agree with Mrs. position on this. I think that, the importance of practicing so that we practice for something we hope we never, ever have to do, right? But there has to be some automaticity with these things because in the, God forbid, event that we ever have to, even a fire, right? Like an evacuation drill for a fire, for gas, for anything, like we need the students to know what it is that they need to do and know how to follow the directions of the adults around them. And so I would be concerned if this is limit the number of drills, or is this limit the minimum number of drills and you could still do more? Because I think that the trauma comes from a lack of important understanding and conversation with children at their developmentally appropriate age level. I think that's the trauma, right? Because kids are not traumatized by fire drills anymore, but kids have also died in school fires, right? And so not since drills became a routine and required thing, but I mean, I don't support this position.
No, I agree with that. We train at every age group. So things become comfortable in secondary, no matter what the cognitive, kindergarten is, still you want to put it within their comfort zone so they know what to do, where to go, who to follow, and not just cut back doing these.
They used to make us get under desks in case there was an atomic bomb. Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't want to see that reduced.
And Carol, to your question, it said the requirement, but you're right, the language is a little bit vague. It just says the requirement of 4 to 2.
So, I mean, we could still do more, but I don't. I think it's with those types of things, it's gonna be, what are other districts doing? And I don't think we compromise when it comes to students.
Since they have precedence to start.
So is everybody okay with?
I agree, and I also, not that I need it because I agree with that position, but I would like to see the research that says that it actually is traumatic. I don't know that exists.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
No, you don't. I'm not saying Gina.
So you're saying Gina's lying?
Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna make note for myself. Okay. The next one is number 27. So this is saying to not adopt these resolutions, so to go against it. So the resolution itself is to supplemental state funding to rural school districts should be increased to equalize teacher salaries to help recruitment and retention, because this is a New York statewide retention recruitment issues in rural districts. And so to not support equalizing salaries in rural districts. And the reasoning is that NYSBA felt retention issues is not just a salary issue. It could be the cost of living, it could just be the environment, it could be other factors. And so if for us as a rural district, if we felt that we should not be in support of equalizing salaries and getting more state funding to equalize salaries to make it more competitive versus non-rural areas.
And where did they think this funding was gonna come from?
The
The
state.
magic funding tree? I mean, we never get our budget on time from the state anyway. We're gonna, ask for more money to.
The state needs taxpayer dollars.
But in like a magical land, if this were to happen, we would.
This was truly state
support
funded
this.
without being taxpayer funded.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah. That's exactly how I would say it.
But NYSBA is not supportive.
They're saying we don't want that because they're saying we don't know that salaries is the reason you can't retain your employees. So. Okay, the next one is number 32. And I really don't know why this is an issue, but this is saying do not advocate for removal of GMOs, heavy metals, chemicals from school meals. So that is the proposal, and this is saying, no, we're gonna go against that, and their reasoning is, NISBA's position is that it is too broad, the proposal, and in the definitions of what GMOs and chemicals and heavy metals are, and that there's a lack of scientific research to confirm that those elements are toxic to children or not good for them in their school meals.
Isn't that law? I mean, that doesn't sound like something we should be putting in a NISBA proposal for.
Well, I probably have more knowledge here, but there's like, obviously, there's like a cap, or like a max on what we allow. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
there is, as far as the metals and stuff, there's, the government handles all of those. The GMOs, I know there is an issue like with chicken, because it's the feed of what they give the chickens, so then technically they are considered. So it would be very difficult to put that, and it would cut down significantly on what our options are to still fall into the guidelines to meet everything else.
So it'd be like a ripple effect of then having to change the guidelines.
And maybe
Yeah.
on cost.
And yeah, that's.
Yeah, that would be,
That's at the heart of it, is that the cost for funded meals at this point would skyrocket.
yes.
That's just a tough one to actually
So they're advocating the removal of all those things.
disagree with.
Yeah, that's the proposal, and is the saying, like, don't do that. Like, don't advocate
Don't
for the
advocate.
removal of those things
Right,
because of lack
right.
of scientific research.
So they're saying don't, it says
Right.
shall advocate for the removal.
Right,
of
and
all-
they're opposing it.
Oh, I
And
got
this
you.
was-
Okay, understood.
So, yay, nay.
I think, so NISBA is not supporting. it.
Correct.
I mean, for me, I think we agree with NISBA. I mean, don't, just because I mean,
We
No,
agree with
we-
this, but that we
it's
want
too
chemicals
generalized.
and GMOs.
That's the hard thing.
no, we don't, we agree with NISBA that we don't. Right.
No, no.
Now, NISBA
NISBA
wants to vote it
NISBA wants to
down.
vote it down.
I know, but it's saying we shall advocate
Yeah, the
for
removal.
eliminating it.
For not
Yeah.
limiting it.
So the resolution is like, take these ingredients out of school meals, and this is like, no, keep that in.
Yes.
So do you agree, keep it in, or do you want those chemicals out?
I'd like more output.
But
It's
no,
It's very limiting and costly, so I would say no new restrictions.
So Chris, at the top of that page,
Okay, I
it
see at the bottom,
says,
yeah.
NISBA says to oppose these proposed.
So we're supporting what NISBA said. Which is,
If you are supporting what is this?
that's what I'm saying.
Do you want them out or in? Then we can tell you which one you're voting.
That's
Well, I mean, currently, there's not restrictions.
Well, to
Well, there are.
extent.
Yeah.
Well, sure. But so it would be to oppose further.
Yeah, I agree with
restrictions.
Howard that it is vague, but it's on the path
Yeah.
to limiting them more.
Anybody have an opinion?
It's too broad. It doesn't even say to limit or set certain levels. It just says eliminate, remove.
Right, it's
Right,
removal
so
of all.
it could make meals extremely costly.
So we support what NISBA is asking, which is to not support that resolution.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay. Let
Good
me
Lord.
just. Okay, and then the last one is number 34. The proposal is to advocate for mandatory daily recess and PE for elementary grades because, I'm sorry, it is to advocate for mandatory daily recess and PE for elementary grade levels. And so NISBA is saying not to support that because they need more clarification on what elementary grade levels is in the definition.
Why do they
Even
do
though
that?
that's clearly defined by state ed. I'm just
Again,
wondering.
I think they're getting carried away. with it.
Now these kids need to move away.
I mean, we do recess, but it's not required. Is that?
No, we do recess.
No, I know we do recess. But if this is
Is
being
it-
proposed, I'm assuming it's not.
It's not,
Mandatory.
so PE is not daily.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it's a
so they're
certain
saying
number
that
of-
every day.
Daily
Correct.
recess and PE
Okay.
for elementary.
Would that even
grade.
apply if it was a half day of this?
It
I just say daily recess? Oh, and in addition to scheduled physical.
Just
Well,
schedule.
scheduled,
It
that doesn't say daily.
Yeah.
PE, right.
It's,
I don't know,
isn't
different.
that gym class?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
They're just saying that
That recess should be.
daily recess
Recess.
has to be mandatory, which would be in addition to the scheduled PE classes.
So we do have daily recess.
Yes, so our district, and that's like in policy even, but, I didn't know, honestly, that's something.
I mean, they're with it. They just want, I don't know why, but to define elementary grade level.
Right, but that's defined.
No, I understand what you're
So
saying.
there are some
Teacher,
schools that don't have daily recess. Is that the issue?
I don't know.
I guess it might not be. a
Don't we
law
have,
mandate.
aren't there like, I don't think it's not the thing, but
It
didn't
is
they
mandated.
used to not,
It's
like,
Well, I-
it was a punishment, basically, you couldn't go out for recess.
Oh,
that's
So
interesting.
those kids
Every day.
gonna, like, we're gonna get sued by the state because we held two kids inside,
That's
or
probably
it was raining.
true.
I've heard of it.
I don't,
I think we
I
do.
think we just leave that one alone. That's me.
Cause I remember watching something on the news, this could have been like 2 years ago, where there were schools that had gym like once a week, like for PE once a week. So, which I have no idea. I thought there was just some like curriculum of how you had to
There
have.
are minimum at times, right, for like subjects. So it doesn't necessarily say that you have to have it daily, but it might say like 120 minutes of PE or something
Yeah.
like that throughout the week, right? And so it may not be clearly defined as a daily requirement, but recess is a daily requirement for up to 30 minutes or for 30 minutes in grades, I think up to 5. But I guess interestingly enough, sixth grade usually is elementary school, but sometimes it's in an elementary school and sometimes it's housed in a middle school. And that might be what they're trying to be inclusive of.
That's what
But-
I thought might be the issue.
Right.
I don't know, I just have a hard time finding a reason to have yet somebody else
It's
tell
not
us when
a
it's just you to have recess.
Again,
But they
daily
get it.
recess.
But they don't have to go.
Well, nobody has to participate, right? I mean, they could
Right.
go outside and
You're right.
sit, you know what I
Nobody-
mean?
Nobody still, sometimes, you have to stay in for recess.
No,
We don't do that anymore.
no.
That's against policy.
Alright.
They're not allowed to take recess away unless it's in a behavioral infraction, like unsafe behavior at recess. It can be a consequence, but it can't be like, you didn't finish your work, so you don't get to go to
Alright.
recess.
It's up to you guys, this one's, thoughts?
I think they're saying they agree with it all. They just want a clearer definition of what the grades are. So I think it's just,
I don't understand why
Yeah, I
they
don't
would stop
understand
something.
I mean, I agree with it. Not them, I disagree with
Access.
it. Me, so self-explanatory.
We could still vote in support of it and say, it doesn't matter what elementary definition is, we're still.
We want recess.
Yeah.
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 True. You good?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Everybody good with that?
Your thoughts probably if it's sixth grade, if that's included.
But it is
affect your entire
included
middle
here.
school.
Mhm.
But if another school is not including recess in sixth grade, it could affect their entire middle
Yeah,
school
that.
schedule.
Those were the only ones. If anyone has any other questions, let me know. If voting is on October 16th. I'm gonna do my best to stay on as long as possible. It starts at 4 and sometimes they're on till like I get off by 10. So we'll do my best.
Number 5, is there an explanation that goes with this? Cause it's like, I thought we basically have to do a course every year. And now they're saying once every 3 years.
And it says for mandated and non-mandated reporters. So I don't know what non-mandated reporters training requirement is, so I thought that could be the issue. Versus just mandated reporters having to do it annually.
Elliot, licensed individuals and certificated,
I believe it's Andy.
well, but the non-mandated versus mandated reporters,
I don't know the difference.
I think it has to do with licensure and certification.
Yeah, I know the teacher certification and professional certifications, like psychologists, those.
But this doesn't say that, right? This basically says, yeah, mandated report and those who are not to participate once every 3 years. I'm
Right, for anyone who's not
So
currently.
basically,
required.
every employee has to be trained on this. Yeah, and how many are there that aren't required to be trained?
Well, they're all required because we do it every year as part of the annual, but this is like the official mandate. So the annual updates include a mandated reporter training, but then there's like an official training that also happens. And so I'm pretty sure they're talking about the official that are required only for certain staff. And that's when we have like the attorneys.
What
coming
do
in.
they want to support this or they don't?
They do.
So we do every single employee, every custodian.
Everybody has to do it, either annually or within 30 days of hire because of the, like, those GCN videos.
Yeah.
They include it. The problem is that that's not considered like a New York State approved training. So for all the certificated staff that's required to do it, we have the attorneys come in and do it.
So all do hires, including the food service helper.
Yeah, even substitutes have to do the videos.
Well, that would make sense.
No, but I'm saying like even a substitute, like nurse or substitute, like any employee has to do the videos.
Okay.
And then I think like the annual would be like the next fall when they have the attorneys come in, the certificated employees. would do it.
I don't think it's a bad idea. Maybe not everybody's doing it. Because we do something.
I always I always worry about these things where we have it in our policy, they have it in some rule, the state has it in some law. And who knows if they ever line up.
Yeah.
You know, but, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem supporting it.
Well, I think the lawyers make sure that it is lined up as to like what you have, what our minimum is.
Well, that's,
Hope so.
so, all right,
Anything else?
are we good?
Thank you, Nina.
Yes, thank you.
Number 30, we fully support that. Absolutely, without a doubt. Number 30 says Board of Ed members get a tax break. All right, anything else?
Start having competitive races.
You good? Tina?
Thank you.
All right, let's, and go back to Sean.
How does that go?
I was told to. Let's hear it.
I didn't know.
First line.
Take it away, Sean.
Okay. So earlier tonight, I met with the audit committee. We went through the financial reports in detail. So, there's two financial statements in the folder. There's an extra classroom and then there's the regular financial statement. The regular financial statement does not include the single audit this year. That's due to the fact that OMB has not issued the compliance supplement yet. So the AICPA came out and said that we can't issue any single audits until that does. Now with the government shutdown, we're not really sure when that's gonna come out. The due date for that is March 31st, so you're not late for that. This is to meet the requirement of New York State SED and OSC to have this printed by October 15th. The two financial statements, you have an unmodified, which is a clean opinion. That's what you're looking for to get on the financial statement. There was two items that were noted in the report that are on the back page of the financial statement. There's the unassigned fund balance, which is over the 4% slightly. Then also, one of the requirements for New York State SED is that the corrective action plan for an audit finding needs to be posted to the website. Last year's finding was in the minutes, but it wasn't posted directly to the website. that's already been corrected, but that was the finding that was noted. Those are the only two items that came up during the audit. Otherwise, everything else was clean. There's no control deficiencies noted. So unless anybody has any questions, this is as far as I was gonna go into detail.
And kudos to Ashley in the business office, for both being unmodified and Paige for extra class and
I'd also like to highlight that last year there was a finding for cafeteria and that's been resolved, so the cafeteria staff has been on top of it. That was great.
Question, anybody? Okay. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have anything? Next, we got the facilities report.
Good afternoon, everyone. This one's a little brief. We had, all the teachers come back to school and, doing a lot of work, assisting the teachers, getting everyone's ready and always in September, we always take care of the teachers first, and the classrooms are all set up, ready to go for the kids. So I'd just like to thank all the custodians and facility staff for helping out. I'm just gonna run over a couple of things. In the middle school, we installed a total of 10 new lock cores in the business office and PPS office. They have different locks on them, but use multiple different keys. Now they're all under one major admin master key. So during lockdowns, in case of emergency, we can get right. And then we installed 2 new water filters and fountains. One in the middle school fit lab and one in the hallway by the general office. Anyone have any other questions?
If you guys, if anybody gets a chance, I don't know, John, or if somebody up at high school, but take a look at the changes that were made to the library and those support offices and the sound, it really, you know, went through there during the walkthrough and it came out really good. I was very happy with that work. Any questions for John?
The bleacher seats, is it just wear and tear? That the reason they were damaged?
Yeah, they're getting old, so they're getting a little brittle. And it's a combination of kids and parents cheering on the kids, stomping on them.
Oh, okay,
And stomping on
okay.
them. Some of them, they
I
break,
see.
they snap them. So what we're doing, you have to change the whole section. You just can't change one piece because it won't match. They can't make them exact ones anymore. So I gotta take out a row with 10 and replace the whole 10 with new ones. So that's what we've been doing.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Hey, John? Back we go. Food services. I keep looking for the cake.
No cake today. Maybe next time.
Yes, I got it.
Hello again, everyone. Before I start with that, I really would like to thank all of the staff in food service. We've been really short-staffed. I myself have probably spent maybe an hour a day in my office. I've been in the kitchen with them every day. And they're working really hard. And it shows. We've changed a whole bunch and our participation has skyrocketed from what it was last September, so.
When you say skyrocket, like.
So actually in, just September, we were under about 19% in breakfast participation, and now we're almost to 25%. We've gone up almost 1,500 students getting breakfast in the month. Yeah, so it's been going, and usually September is the one that's kind of like really slow and builds up. So I was very surprised when we pulled those numbers.
What do you attribute that to?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
One thing I did learn was it seems like a lot of parents last year thought lunch was free and not breakfast.
Oh, okay.
So trying to get the word out that both are free for everyone. But we've also been changing up the options at breakfast, the smoothies, which was a partnership with American Dairy. We have 2 Vitamix blenders. And the kids have loved them. I actually tried it the one day at lunch to see how they would go. And they kept asking, are we gonna have them tomorrow? Are we gonna have them? And they kept asking about lunch, but we're trying to do them mostly at breakfast. And we've also been changing up the chicken products. This is a company that uses whole muscle chicken instead of the processed and formed. And they've actually pointed out how much they like it better. So,
I do have a question for breakfast. I don't know if you or the superintendent can answer it. If a bus comes in late,
Mhm.
Is there time for a student to still get breakfast?
yep, we can serve breakfast up until 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So even if a bus was come late, even in the high school, when there's kids that don't necessarily come for first period, they're still able to go have breakfast. Yeah, we try to make sure we get everybody.
So, and that works for all the schools, though?
Yep.
I have a quick, the smoothies, are they at every school?
So we're trying to incorporate them more. Right now, I only have it like every 2 weeks, because we weren't sure how well they would go.
Yeah.
So now it's making sure that I can bring in enough yogurt to get all of them. But yes, the plan is to do them at least once a week, if not multiple days.
Thank you.
And we would need to order, like how,
We make them first thing in the morning. That's thankfully with those blenders, it goes very quick.
But they're not made to order, so I
Oh,
can like.
sorry,
I
not made
can
to order.
order them.
They're made, yeah.
It's just whatever kind of smoothie.
Sorry.
This is not smoothie.
I'd like mango.
That would be great though, if we could.
so it's like you pick up flavor, what
Yeah,
is
so what we've been
available?
doing,
Okay.
for the most part, we've been doing strawberry
Okay.
smoothies. But we will, as I get into more, fruit that is available for us, then we'll start changing it up.
Is it pretty apparent when a child goes into because it's not every day that the smoothies are available?
Yeah, so we,
Okay.
and we do production records every day, so then we keep a count as to how many kids had breakfast each day. And that's actually where we noticed smoothie day was a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Just here in the middle school, we only were doing about 30 breakfasts a day. We've hit 60 to 70 every day. So a lot more kids have been coming in. So this is just, it shows breakfast and lunch. So lunch is sorry, that's hard to see. Lunch is a little bit above what it was last year, and breakfast is significantly larger. That we are getting more of the kids in having breakfast and lunch.
Is that because lunch was at better numbers anyway, or?
We do about just over 8,000 lunches in a month. We're at about 8,500 for September. Usually October is when I'm one of those parents who stops making lunch and it's like, just go get lunch at school. So usually October is when you get the higher numbers, so hopefully we'll see this month go higher. And this year we added on Hayes Day School. So we are providing breakfast and lunch to them every day. We send breakfast. We've kind of been working out the kinks. So on Friday, we bag up all their breakfasts and we send them to them. They get shelf-stable juice. There's always cereal. And then we will send them like an alternative. So there's Pop-Tarts, there's muffins, bagels, and the donuts that we have on Friday, we send those as well. And then lunch, we do 35 lunches. They get packed up. Hayes sends their order and they come pick it up and deliver it to them every morning.
Yeah, that's how I got there.
Yes. And these are just the two, individuals I communicate with the most. Grace is our primary contact. And then Marian is the director and principal. And they've just been so appreciative and all of the kids have been eating every day. So it's made a huge impact for them.
And there's no specific nutritional changes that you need to make that handle Cardinal Hayes?
No, there's a few kids that don't eat the lunches and breakfasts that we provide. But out of the, I think there's 47 kids on the roster, 35 of them are eating our lunches.
That's good.
And we do have a few allergies and we have them labeled as they go out so that they know exactly which lunch is for which allergy. But they've been actually asking for, the other breakfast options. So we were the smoothies, trying to figure out how we can get them all the other options that we have. These were two things that the plan is to incorporate. The New York Thursdays, unfortunately, has kind of been at a halt since I haven't really been able to sit down and plan it out as well as I'd hoped. And we have been able to get the milk though. So all of our milk is currently New York State milk. But my fingers crossed, I get more time in the office, then I will be able to get New York Thursday started in November. Oh man, that's
So
hard
we
to
don't do food or breakfast or whatever up to like Dutchess Day or up to, no?
No, and to bring on Hayes, it's a process. I had to reach out to the state, we had to submit for them to approve it. Then I had to meet with the health department at Hayes and they had to go through the school and make sure everything would be taken care of on their end. And then as far as our documentation as temperatures and what time they come and pick it up to make sure that there's a track of it all. This one is very hard to see. These are just some of the guidelines to show, and how the calories are based off each grade range. So you have K to 5, 6 to 8, and then 9 to 12. So this year I've incorporated 3 separate lunch menus to more specifically meet their requirements for each grade level. Last year we had one that was K to 8 and then 9 to 12. And I feel that looking at my own children who fall within that 6 to 8 range, how much they eat. So they need that little bit more than the elementary school kids, but not as much as the high school yet.
How's pre-K doing? I mean, do we do lunches and all that for them? And are those kids, I would think they're probably the pickiest kids because they're just coming out of.
Surprisingly, they do really well. The parfaits is actually one of the biggest lunches at Elm. They love the parfaits. Today we had General Tso's chicken with stir fry. And I don't know how well it went at Elm, but I know Alden, the middle school and the high school, all of the kids loved today's lunch. And the stir fry was all fresh vegetables that we pulled in and cut.
Very good.
This is just currently some of our challenges. Because we are so short-staffed, it makes it very difficult to get all the extra things done. So we are currently hiring and interviewing for these positions. And distributor substitutions has been an issue. Products that they committed to on the bid, they have not had. And there's times that they've just delivered a substitution when we didn't know ahead of time. So that's been a difficult challenge. And that's it. So, thank you for your support.
Good.
I just wanted to say the menus, it's very nice that they're all like updated, they're on like. As a parent, it's really nice to be able to go right on and see, it's easy to use and the menus are always there.
Good.
In my book, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. And next week is National School Lunch Week. So it's a national promotion that most schools try to do. So we have geared it towards, Tuesday is, we're doing Italy. So it's cheese ravioli and garlic bread. And then we're doing Mexico on Tuesday. We're having tacos and corn salsa. Thursday, we're doing China. So we're having a chicken stir fry with lo mein. And then Friday, we're doing USA. We're having hot dogs. But trying to incorporate the programs and even the national days. On the 20th is National Chicken and Waffle Day. So we're gonna chicken and waffle day.
Heard that was a big hit.
Do you have candidates lined up for those 2 positions or are you just sort of trying to find people?
Trying to find people. I had an interview yesterday. I interviewed today, and hopefully we'll have another one later this week. It's difficult finding people that want that 4-hour position. So fingers crossed. So,
We're good.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Caroline?
So first, I want to thank Dr. Watkins, who prepared this entire board meeting, because I was not supposed to be here. So thank you for doing that. But I am here. I'm gonna not try and steal her thunder, because she has a very thorough report that was supposed to be in my absence. So just to review a couple of things. We did have faculty meetings this week that reviewed the MTSS protocols in each building. There's some information there about training for some new teachers. As you know, when teachers come into the district, we include them in the Orton Dillingham training so that they can work with our students. Additionally, we had a vote approved by MEF to bring on the ABC program at Alden Place. So that's the Alden Book Club. So Andrew Cedarmark, the principal, he put in a proposal to MEF to have certain themed books funded so that there would be like a monthly theme and there would be multiple different book options for students and they would read about a theme throughout the month. And it's really just to kind of enhance the library selections and the conversations around the different. Do you have a question? No. Okay. And so there's really just to put the books in the hands of students and enhance like the library and the selection and really trying and intentionally bring the themes forward about characters or character building, education, etc. At the secondary level, Mr. Gilroy is working with the building principals and families to improve attendance and build healthy habits. He's working with restorative practices to promote growth and accountability for students. Last week, Mr. Gilroy and Mrs. Nairati, they attended the Dutchess County Health Summit, learning about local health initiatives, chronic absenteeism data, and also using that information as a means to strengthen our MTSS intervention processes. So one of the things that the county is talking about a lot, the Department of Behavioral and Community Health is talking a lot about chronic absenteeism and all of the obviously negative things that are associated with it, not just academically, but all of the other things that come along with students who are not attending school regularly. And we know that many of those students, this is where they get 2 meals a day. So that's a whole other thing, right? Especially now that meals are universal. So we're also looking to fill some coaching vacancies that I've listed there. Anyone who is listening that might be interested can apply through our athletic director. We need a JV girls basketball coach, which is a good thing because we are expanding that program back. We also need a winter track and field head coach and assistant coach. The middle school is really excited about their upcoming field trips. They have a walking field trip around the village of Millbrook for our 6th graders, and our 7th graders will be visiting Bear Mountain. I do want to say that I was at the state conference last week for the New York State Council of School Superintendents. A lot of the financial reports and all of the projections are doom and gloom. Not too many specifics, but nothing sounds good on the horizon. So we will obviously keep you updated as we hear more. But it was kind of hard to sit and listen to some of that. But there's, you know, still some of the pressure to have certain programs and whatnot exist with all of the messaging being like foundation aid is not going to be what it was, and there's not going to be any modification to the calculation, and there's not going to be any new exclusions to foundation aid, and yada, yada, yada. And as you know, us being a Holter-Armwood school, we were not even restored to the numbers that we had last year. And so, you know, things are concerning, but we are going to be monitoring very closely. We're doing a lot of really creative things to try and build revenue and also offset some costs. So again, I don't know if you understand like the magnitude of the program that Dr. Watkins was able to bring on with the early college access COSER this year. but essentially it's going to work out to, just about $700,000 in expenses that will be able to be aidable because they are now running through BOCES and many of our teachers' salaries and benefits, 600 and something $1,000, that would be aidable now that previously weren't, and we're solely on the taxpayers, right? So I know it was really late in the summer, at the very beginning of the school year when this came about. But to not have taken advantage of that, we would be leaving money on the table essentially. So we're pretty proud of that. So we are doing everything that we can. I think, we're renting classrooms to BOCES. We're literally doing everything we can to offset the costs, that we have, right? And so as creative as we can be, we will continue to be, because I just feel like the financial situation coming out of this state is becoming more and more unpredictable and far less reliable. So just something that we will keep in our minds and continue conversation about throughout the school year. I did provide for you here additional upcoming dates, just things going on throughout the school district. And so at the very end, you'll see on the 19th, there's a fire prevention assembly at Elm Drive and fire drills following up on the 23rd. And that will include the Millbrook Fire Department that will be there to observe the fire drills. Any questions?
The program about the college, pre-college courses that Dr. Watts created, would you say like in layman's understanding, that's like an additional $700,000 coming into the district?
It's not, because it's not dollar for dollar, so it's a percentage, whatever our aid is, our BOCES aid, we'll get a percentage of that back, but the reality is we would have spent those salaries teaching our students, right? And so there are some fees associated with it, there are some administrative fees associated with it, there are fees associated with the fees to the colleges, but all told, it will be a percentage of the grant total coming back to us, whereas before, we were getting nothing back, right? We were spending that money and we were getting nothing back.
Do you know what the percentage is approximately?
Well, it's typically 23%, and it all kind of depends on the COSER. The piece will have to be, and we won't find this out just yet. So this is like still unfolding. I literally signed the LOA today to agree to this COSER. So it's still unfolding, but we can bring exact figures back when we have them. We just don't yet, but either way, it's still money coming back to us, and that's kind of what we're trying to do in every which way that we can. Yeah.
Question?
Thank you.
Carolyn?
Absolutely.
Okay. Elliot?
Thanks. I'll be somewhat brief with some of these things have been covered already tonight, like our business office, the audit was the big headline tonight. So just a huge thank you again to Ashley and the team and Jessica and everybody who made this as painless as relatively possible. So we're just really excited about that. Just a note on our tax levy, as of the end of last week, we've collected roughly $21 million or approximately 82% of our tax levy so far for the 25-26 school year. Just as a reminder to anybody watching this live or recorded in the relatively near future, taxes can still be paid through October 31st. There is a 2% late fee for any payments that come in after October 2nd, but it is still, we are still within the window to allow for taxpayers to make their payments to the district. And again, as an additional reminder, besides the Dropbox here or the USPS mail system, you can also pay your taxes online via credit card or e-check. In the tech office.
Elliot, do we know
Yes, sir.
how many people have actually used that option?
So we've collected, I have the number in my office, but we have over $1.3 million of our 21 million collected was through that online portal.
Really?
Yes. So that was noteworthy to say we had over $1 million coming that way. So there's a number of taxpayers taking advantage of it. And again, no cost to the district, right? They pay the processing fee on their end. So there's no cost to us. It's a service we can provide to the community. Just a couple of notes from the tech office. This year, the state mandated 26 to 29 technology plan is due to state ed. So for those that may not recall, we did this a number of years ago. It used to be a 5-year tech plan. Now it's a 3-year tech plan. But they just want us to the best of our ability, be able to project our technology related costs. A lot of our tech infrastructure devices, switchgear, network equipment have roughly between a 5 to 7 year lifespan, so they're on a perpetual replacement cycle, and we report to the state what we expect those expenses to be. I can say that very different than the last one. In the 2020 submission, we were still expanding our network. We accelerated that process for all the reasons at and during COVID, but we have network coverage throughout the district now. So really we're in an upkeep and a maintenance phase, whereas a lot of districts are still on an expansion phase. So more info to come on that, but we just wanted to have a footnote that will be developing throughout the school year. And additionally, some of our security and life safety related technology pieces are under investigation for potential replacement as well. If the board remembers, back in 2021, we replaced a comprehensive video management system replacement. So that system is approaching the end of its life, and we're looking to see what we can do to upgrade that, in addition to the systems that relate to it. So some of those are card access and emergency notifications and things like that. On the facility side, Mr. Mullins was here tonight to present just a couple of footnotes in addition to what John shared. There were some recommendations out of the safety committee from Elm Drive and through the district safety team that were implemented rather quickly. And I want to thank John for moving very quick on that. Our SRO, Deputy Freer, was involved, and we went to the site. John brought his whole senior leadership team down, and within days they were implementing some of these things that we feel are really critical for our youngest learners and their families. So just want to give John a lot of credit for being very quickly responsive to the safety needs of the district, and some of that work is still ongoing. So more to come on that. And again, just, I don't know if people realize, but these last 2 weeks specifically, we're waking up at 45-degree temperatures and we're dismissing at 75-degree temperatures, and we're experiencing 30-degree temperature swings. And with all the regulations in place about managing classroom indoor air quality and environments, our mechanics and custodial workers are constantly adjusting and modifying systems, and quite often starting the day in heating and ending the day in cooling, and making those mid-morning transitions to try to keep everybody safe and comfortable. It is very challenging this time of year in general. This weather pattern specifically has been increasingly challenging to manage, and I just want to give credit where it's due to our staff. We've had, I think, probably less complaints this fall than we've had in the past couple of years in terms of occupancy and comfort. So give them all the credit in the world for managing those systems in tandem. And these are all end-of-life systems that we're looking to upgrade and replace. So just like I said, a big thank you to the facilities team for that. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on our capital project. So in my report, I did include the same schedule for submissions to New York State Education Department, as well as the potential bid schedule. That has not changed, but we just wanted to update the board as to where we are in the process. So tonight, the board is going to be considering the agreements with the Palumbo Group and BPD, our municipal advisors. So the Palumbo Group is going to be a contract for construction management for the entirety of the scope of work that was approved in May. Last meeting, we approved, or I think it was last meeting or 2 meetings ago, we approved the architects and engineers contract. So these are the schematic design team and the project management team contracts. Those get done before we actually start construction. These are the people that are going to shepherd us through the entirety of the process. So first contract was our architects and engineers, because they have to design the thing. Right behind them is the construction manager contract, because he has to manage it. And there's so much back and forth correspondence between the construction managers and the designers, because they're doing construction in real time right now. So superintendent and I had a meeting with the design team last month, where we brought in the architects, the engineers, the construction managers, and the EPC vendors. And we sat down and we started talking about, minor design tweaks versus aesthetic appearances. And this building material will have an end result appearance of this versus doing it the other way, and what the costs are associated with, the lead times are associated with. And it's really valuable to have the construction manager in the room who's doing similar projects and saying, we just ordered this equipment and it took 12 weeks to get here. We are placing orders now with an estimated lead time of 4 months. So that feedback loop is constantly running, and we appreciate them being on the same team and working through us every step of the way, keeping us in the loop so we understand what to expect.
And I think fair to say too, even since we've had meetings, we've also had emails from them with additional updates and information. So this, it's going to be an ongoing dialogue, like just never really going to hit a wall.
And so that's why you're seeing these contracts this early in the process. I think there was some folks just didn't understand, like, why are we signing contracts if we haven't put bids out yet? And so these are the contracts we need to put the bids out, right? Additionally, we have an addendum to our standing agreement with BPD, who are municipal advisors, and that addendum covers all the extra work that they do for us just for the capital project. So if you remember, when we did that RFP, we retained them to be our financial advisors in general for the district, for long-range and short-range financial planning, managing our bond schedules and all of those things for existing debt. As we're taking on new debt and managing new money to the tune of, $66 million in expenses, they're going to be working with us through the process as well. So they're watching very closely what we're spending, what we're projected to spend as we get into the construction bid process and the bids come back and we identify what those multi-million-dollar contracts are going to be. They're going to help us plan out when it's going to be at the right time to issue the bonds in the best interest of the district. As we hopefully have a little bit of money left at the end of the year, they may recommend that we put the money directly to the project to further offset taxpayer expenses. So we want them in play as early as possible in the process as well. And then our EPC vendor is the fourth contract that we have in play. So after tonight, if the board approves the BPD addendum and the Palumbo Group contracts, the last one that we would want to have in place before we go out to bid for work would be the EPC contract. As of last week, we had an addendum to that agreement sent from our attorneys to their attorneys. So we're hoping to have that to the board for approval in the next meeting or the following meeting, but sometime before we get into November, or we get past November. So hopefully by the time we get into November, we'll have that one settled as well. As of this point, we are still on track for phase 1A to get to Albany for approval by December, and phase 1B to get to Albany by the end of March. So again, they're being designed at the same time. And I'm saying it for the board, but also mostly for the folks at home that may not have heard this before. The only reason we separated phase 1A and 1B was to accelerate the approval of phase 1A so that we could get work going as soon as possible. Questions?
Very exciting to think construction would start like months away.
Super excited, even if it's minimal, right? We just want to be able to get the plans back and truthfully, just to be able to go out to bid in the spring is going to be really helpful for us to see where we are. I know Mr. Hartswick asks us every time we have these conversations, are we on budget? Are we on time? Right? And that's the questions we're always going to have. Are we on time and are we in budget? And as of right now, as best as we can project, we're there. But with every contract we bring forward for the board to consider approving and awarding, we'll have a tighter picture of what that is.
And we don't, there's no other, I didn't want to ask John, but there's no other major project, we had the drain, stormwater project from the parking lot, we had the wastewater stuff problem that we had over on the other side. We don't have any of those hanging out right now, right?
I'll be very careful in phrasing this answer because I don't want to jinx it mostly. We don't have any issues currently that are not manageable with our operating budget.
No, it was more, if we had to tear up a pipe under the roadway, tear it up once and I'm assuming we'd have to probably do the same thing for the cap. Make sure.
So we do have our repair reserve, which our auditors just presented the financial report, and in that report, you'll see there's about $215,000 in an emergency repair reserve that the board can authorize us to access if we have a catastrophic failure of that nature. As we see, now that the project's been approved, I can speak to anything that fails related to the project has the possibility of NYSEG accelerating the approval process for that piece of it. So like before the vote in May, if the roof failed, we had talked about we can only do in-kind replacements or repairs. We can't modify it, right? Now that we're putting forward the plan for modification, if we have a failure and they've already approved the plan, we may be able to accelerate that process. And so any band-aids that we would implement would be aligned to the approved design. So the further we get down the design approval process, the more we can mitigate the exposure of that possibility.
Any other questions?
It's nice to see dates and things, like it's After that long haul, it's nice to see some stuff in writing.
Coming real.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah, it's very exciting.
Wait till you start seeing the
Yeah.
equipment on site and seeing, that you're never gonna look forward to seeing yellow construction tape.
Yeah, yeah.
You will when you see
And
it.
all the, issues with trying to route everything and, but that's great. Thank you.
All right. Amy?
Sure. Okay, so communications update. If you do have my report open, if you just refresh, you'll see some changes that I made. But Karen Burka started yesterday. She is our new communications liaison. She replaced Laura Pasheen, who began working full-time in Pauling. And she has been, you might remember her from coming to board meetings. She does sit on the Duchess board. She was a former Pauling board member, and she's excited to join us. She is a journalist, so she's excited to really work with our social media engagement. She was here today, just making sure her Duo was working, getting her laptop. So it's a slow start, but we are excited to have her on board. Also, just put some reminders in, specifically just because it is virtual. The virtual internet safety training is next Tuesday. That's from 6:30 to 8. Mr. Gilroy put this together for us, and he will be sending out the link digitally. So you don't have to register. You just have to check your email and click the link. We have had Thomas Grimes here before, and he has a very thorough presentation on all the things that you don't want to know about, but you need to know about for internet safety for your kids. And really just talking about digital behavior, what to look for, warning signs, risk factors. So we highly encourage any of our parents, even if you could only hop on for a little while, it's not like people are going to notice or ask you questions. He will give you the opportunity, but we highly encourage you to attend. I also wanted to give a plug out to Millbrook Listens. I'm not sure if you saw them at Community Day. They had their shirts on. This is a really interesting project. They reached out to the school district so they could have a student voice involved. So that's the role that I'm trying to be, that liaison for them. But I wanted to include the one pager in my report. So if you wanted to learn more about it, ultimately in the spring, what they're gearing up to do is survey the town. And while it does have an environmental feel, it really is, what do you want to see in your community? So it doesn't just have to be something environmental. So I have shared this out with all of the advisors for after school clubs, National Junior Honor Society, National Honor Society, our environmental club, our student government. So the principals have passed that information along to those advisors. And we've put it in the principal newsletters. I have it in our weekly bulletin, but just for any of our listeners, highly encourage our students to become involved with this. That is something that they would like to see happen as well. We've also put together, this is our first time doing this, and we've had some nice responses for the educational benefits form. Because we're a SEEP district, we don't collect information anymore financially from families, because we really don't have a need to. And this allows us to still get that information from families so that we would be able to notify them of discounts that they could get. And I listed some there, such as the SAT, ACT, so those exam waivers, potential discounts on field trips and other events. So again, this is in the weekly bulletin that goes out from my office, but if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out to my office. We are still plugging our continuing education program. I'm thrilled to say that sewing is completely full. So that is very exciting. And the second driver's education on November 11th is going to run. So we're excited that we have enough students, but we're still taking more to sign up for that. But just encouraging people to look into that and see if there's any courses that are interesting to you. And I just linked the calendar in there for all of the evening events. Instructionally, I wanted to highlight something I'm personally excited about. Always try to come up with another great acronym in education. So FITS. So first year teacher support. I am meeting with our new teachers monthly. Just to go through, today's topic for this month was on classroom management and just new struggles that teachers may be feeling. And it was really nice dialogue. I held a session with secondary teachers and then a session with elementary teachers, and it was really great, and got some nice feedback from them about the the trusting environment that was created from that dialogue. So it was a great continuum because the summer days seemed to go by so fast, and I wanted to do this. So I'm excited that we were able to get it off the ground. This Friday, October 10th, I'm also excited. We're using this half day to do some mandated things that we have to do. Both really around safety, a mandated reporter training, so they have an addendum to that training. So I'm giving teachers time to do that. In addition, we're doing a secondary and an elementary session on engaged bystander training that is required. So we will have Jackie Fama coming from DC BOCES. You might remember her name from when she was at PNW BOCES. She's the new director of school safety and security at DC BOCES. So we're excited to welcome her to us. We already heard about our consultants, but I did include also some data from our dual enrollment program. So I don't actually have the dollar figures. I know Perry loves to have that data, and I just didn't have it for this. You love your data, and I tried to get it for you. But the colleges, I'm working with DC BOCES because they each have different credit amounts. But just so you can see, like 20 students are earning 84 credits from Mount St. Mary College, which is really great because this is our first year partnering with them. DCC has 31 students, which is a very familiar college, earning 222 credits. And just so you can understand the difference, bio earns 8 credits. So students that are in that's additional credits. And also the English earns more credits, or yes, I think that's the one. Marist has 57 students participating, earning 225 credits. And RIT, which we've had for many years, has 56 students earning 168 credits. So for a parent sending their child off to school, I think this is a nice way to offset what that first year tuition is going to look like for them. So we're really thrilled to be part of this. And as Caroline already said, as we go through this process and seeing what is coming back through the COSER, I think it will be a definitely cost benefit to the district for us to participate, in addition to be a huge benefit for our students. And that's
Can you just remind me, is it seniors only?
No, so it's, and I did link in my report if you want to see, but it will show you all of the courses that are eligible. And I broke it down by college, and I sent this out in the survey for the parents to see as well. So Mount St. Mary's does have the sharehold of courses. We had such a great conversation with them. Again, I was excited, and Caroline knows sometimes with my excitement, you have to rein me back because I'm just like, charge ahead. But this one was worth charging ahead for because we really haven't been able to offer classes specifically to our arts students. And that was one area that I wanted to provide students access to these college credits. So Mount St. Mary's really offered almost credit to every one of our art classes. And I feel like you may not be a math or a science person, but this is a great way for you to get some college credits. And we're moving in the directions of expanding this into our music department. I talked to Mr. Sipe about speaking to Mr. Dunninger even about offering a music theory class in the future, because that is something that Mount St. Mary's also offers. And I think that would be a nice addition for our students to also earn credit through the music department. So anything that was competing, you'll notice like we didn't offer biology, even though we could have through Mount St. Mary's. That's just because Mount St. Mary's has a different threshold of what they give credits for. So they just don't find that the course that Dutchess is offering transfers as well. So they offer it as 3 credits where Dutchess offers 8. But I didn't want students to be like, I only earned 3 credits, but you chose to do Dutchess and you got 8 credits. That didn't seem fair. So we just decided not to offer it. And same thing with, I think the other one, no, that was the other one. We didn't, they didn't approve AP English for the same number of credits that Marist did, so I didn't offer that one. So we will continue to have conversations with them and with our teachers, because of course they still have to go through the vetting process to have their resumes reviewed by their department. So it's not just, oh, we're going to offer everything. Our teacher needs to be teaching a course that aligns with what the college recommends and then have their resume approved. So it's a really great start, and I feel it is across the gamut of courses.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just add, make sure we get this information in front of the 7th and 8th grade parents. They need this information before they make decisions.
Yeah, and it's so new, right? So this came from like a conversation at the Mid-Hudson School Studies Council about the NIGHTS program, which was supposed to sort of parallel like the pre-engineering RIT project lead the way that we have. So that's how this conversation started in the very end of last year about like a pre-education class, thinking we could sort of
Mhm.
build a bench, you know, of kids who would eventually come back to the
Mhm.
area looking to be educators.
Mhm.
And so when we started looking into it, it was so much more broad, right? And we were able to take like the benefits of this
Mhm.
and then working with Duchess BOCES
Yes.
and, you know, figuring out the dual enrollment COSAR. I mean, it was a big lift, so kudos to Dr. Watkins for doing that. But that is why it was so last minute this year. So we're excited to be able to really like share all of this as it goes forward.
And I want to thank the teachers too, because it was very much like
Yes.
they're on break and I'm like working with Rick saying, they're gonna do this and they don't know about that. And so I'm like, Rick, you're gonna have to get in touch with them. So they did have to do a quick turnaround on their resume, so I do appreciate that lift for them. And then to go back to your question, Jen, because I didn't necessarily answer it, so 10th graders. Depending on the class, if they're taking it in 10th grade, they can earn credit for it. And the other one that Mount St. Mary's offers that the other colleges don't is language. So I really think that's a really exciting thing because all of our students are taking language. So there's an easy 3 credits and most of our students take an art class because it's required unless they're doing music. So that's another, like everyone could get 6 credits for college before they graduate. So it's really, I just think it's a nice way for our students to get the buzz on if they do want to take goes into post-secondary education to see what it's like. And that's the whole purpose of electives, is to really get students to kind of test things out before they're actually paying money for it.
And you might have said this, would this start next year?
No, we're doing it
It's
now. Mhm.
It's not.
Yes. For students in
Students
10th,
were
11th, and
already
12th.
enrolled in these
So when
classes.
it says eligible, are these how many of our students are actually enrolled?
Yes.
Or,
In my report, yes.
so right now we have,
Well, I say they're eligible to earn their credits because they still have to pass the class.
And what is it, what do they have to do? Do they have to do something early on to?
right,
Register?
Yeah.
They have, so what, because Duchess BOCES was making these agreements, like it wasn't happening through Millbrook, but Duchess was the conduit to these agreements. Marist window opens in August, so they didn't register because they were doing it through this. So now they've opened a special window. So those students do have to fill out a piece of paper. It is a little, I'm gonna use the word annoying, because parents filled out a paper for a digital survey for me, so I could get those numbers to Duchess, but then Duchess came back and said, oh, Marist, we didn't do that one, so they have to do a paper one. So we're working out some kinks like that. But RIT is the same way it always has been, and Marist is the one that I just said. Duchess is the same way it's always been, and Mount St. Mary's has been working really well with the teachers, saying, okay, these students, you said they were going to take my class, I still don't have their registration. So they've sent the teachers the link, and just like they have in the past, the teachers work with the students directly on getting the link and signing up.
And doing it through the COSAR, I don't know if this has sunk in, but it's 0 cost to
Right.
families. Like,
Yes.
that's the really big deal.
Yes,
So there's no access issues for any of our kiddos.
which is very exciting.
If they want to challenge themselves and have taken like prerequisites that might be required to take any of these classes, they're eligible to take it at no cost to their families. And so this is something that, because it's running through the COSAR the way it is, we're able to front the money and then get that money back in aid.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Amy.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, next is the construction manager. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you have a second? Kelly, do you want to take us through the details behind this?
So again, this is for the Palumbo Group, for their work that they are doing for us in the schematic design phase. We did not get an invoice from the Palumbo Group at all for the referendum. So everything that they did for us, they deferred the expenses until after the referendum passed. So this is what we're paying them for essentially is all of the estimation that they did to plan the project, and then all of the cross checks and verifications that they're doing with the architects and engineers to complete the design process and eventually to prospectively manage the project on our behalf. So what that looks like for us in practice, because this is probably new for a lot of folks in the room and listening at home, is the Palumbo Group will provide a construction manager, a person that will be on site for the duration of the construction project. So if we're going, if the contractors are here, they're here. They're gonna be either in an office we provide, or they're gonna be in a job trailer, and they're gonna be on site supervising the actual construction work at every step, every single day. We will have either weekly or bi-weekly meetings, what they call OACM, owner, architect, construction manager. So there will be regular OACM meetings that myself and Caroline will be attending as the district representatives, as the representatives of the Board of Education will be there with an architect representative and a construction manager representative. So that meeting will, on a regular basis, look like, here's the plans. This is what we're working on this week. Are there any questions about the design? The architect's here. And then they may say, well, I don't know how to build it that way. And the construction manager provides the feedback of methods and means and verifications of how they execute the designs put forth by the architects and engineers. So they're really a critical go-between between the district and the construction vendor and the district and the architect. So I like to think of the CM and the architects and engineers as a check and balance. The architects and engineers conceptualize what it should look like, and the construction manager visualizes how to implement that vision and communicates that to the construction vendors advocating on our behalf.
So in the contract, Elliot, are there things like, penalties, and are they documented in this contract, or is this basically a kind of a cover?
So this is an overarching supervision contract. I think when you get to penalties, what that looks like in terms of protecting the district would be there's two forms of bonds that are implemented, and for those that recall what happened with BOCES during their $37 million project, they had to call these bonds. So what we do is, in addition to the contracts themselves, the contract is like, build the thing the way the architect said, right? And then there's well, what if you don't? And the what if you don't piece is covered by what's called a payment bond and or a performance bond. A payment bond is something that we can call if a contractor does not pay their subs. A performance bond we can call if they don't execute the work as prescribed. That doesn't really apply to a CM because they're not doing the work. Some places they would, but we're not paying the Palumbo Group to do construction. They're just going to oversee and advocate for us. But when it comes time to award construction contracts, part of that package will be a requisite payment bond and a performance bond that's vetted by our legal team. And should the contractor underperform or underdeliver, it's going to be the feedback from the CM that's going to help us advocate to decide whether or not we're going to call that bond and possibly, at the most extreme, terminate the contract, take the remaining award and give it to another, the next highest bidder to complete the work.
Yeah, I'm still worried about both these issues. I never really, you got a lot of it's their fault, but they were protected, and that was the key. I just want to make sure that we're protected.
The benefit for us is the attorneys that represented BOCES for that project are representing us on this project.
Still mandated by, to have these performance bonds. It's not just that our attorneys recommended.
Yeah.
It's state law.
It's all under WICS law and OGS law and general municipal law. So there's a different statutes that cover these things. But in the most plain language possible, when we award a contract, we're saying you're going to build X for Y dollars in Z time frame. And if they fall short, we have mechanisms to recall that contract.
So it protects the district, protects the taxpayer. So we're protected, but yeah, we'll get it done.
Any other questions or comments about the contract? Going once. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. All right. Next is the construction manager,
No financial advisor.
or financial advisor. Yeah, you want to go ahead, Elliot?
So same thing, we retain BPD to do all of our financial planning. This is really their work specifically towards managing the cash and the bonds that we anticipate issuing. there are certain things that we may have to consider in the future, like a bond anticipation note, for example, ways to reallocate our existing debt that's on the books. They're gonna do everything they can to make sure that we're minimizing our costs to our taxpayers, including annually looking at our residual fund balance at the end of the year and seeing what we can do to further diminish the overall cost to taxpayers. So without this project, we would still have a municipal advisor, and so that's why this is structured as an addendum and not its own standalone contract.
All right. Do I have a motion?
So
Second. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right,
Thank you.
future agenda items. If there's anything, public comment, question period, anything?
None.
Okay. All right, next, we're going to go to executive session, or I hope we are. But with that, just anyone that might be listening or on the phone, this is not the end of the meeting. We go into executive session to have specific personnel type of question and answer. But if we need to take action, we do that when we return to public session. So with that, do I have a motion to go to executive session? Go second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right. All right.